Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wise Women Weekly with Robin and Monty. We come to you live every single Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We had a little technical difficulties today, so we thank you all for tuning in and hanging with us and hanging in there with us. Most importantly, we strive every single week to continue to bring you amazing content and wonderful, wonderful guests, and today is no exception. This is one that when I first was looking through all of the people that Robin has, and she's like connected to everybody because, you know, everybody loves Robin. It was so funny. I have to say this on a side note. Someone said to me, we all have problems in our lives, but nobody has a problem with Robin. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. And so when I saw her, you know, and when I saw Kathleen on here, I said, Robin, we have to talk to her because so many times we you know, it's, you know, when we get involved in the hustle and bustle of life and the clutter and all of the things, you know, I could not wait to hear about Clutternomics, and my sons are in their room and watching right now live. I said, this is one of the guys you have to watch too, so I'm super, super excited and welcome everybody. Robin, do you want to say anything?
Sure. And again, welcome everyone. We just so appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And you'll see Monty and I taking notes because we are avidly being students as we do these programs with you. And we love sharing these wonderful resources. And today is a very special day. And this woman that's coming on with us today is someone I met at a conference many years ago. And she was the MC. And she just lit up the room. And I went, whoever she is, I want to get to know her. And then the more I learned about her, the more amazing it became because Kathleen has 30 years of as a business growth expert. I mean, she is an unparalleled networker. She just, like I said, lights up the room and teaches people some really, really important things about business success. And one of her favorite things, she's also a best-selling author. She is the founder of her business called Speaktacular. She's been on Dr. Phil. She's been on the show Doctors. She's a sought-after consultant. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. But whether she's doing consulting or keynote speaking or training, one of her great passions is our topic for today, Clutternomics. And I know when I had a little session with Kathleen when we talked about this, and I have a little note that is sitting next to my desk right here. It's like, do you love it? You know, do I love it? Am I using it? You know, take everything off my desk and put little zones. I mean, she is with me every day because I know that transforming my relationship with clutter will do exactly what she says, is clear the way to profits, productivity, and peace. And this woman is a gift to all of us, and she could go, there's so many dimensions of wisdom that she has to share, but today we're going to jump into Clutternomics. So Kathleen, my dear, I know we don't get to see your full expressive self today because we had, you know, some technical difficulties, but I just want everyone to know this woman is expressive and her eyes pop out and she's all over the place, but you'll hear it in her voice. And so let's start out with asking a basic question. Kathleen, how did you get hooked on Clutternomics? And welcome, my dear. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks, ladies. You know, that's a great picture, by the way. It's like 5 years old, so clear my way to better dating opportunities. I love it. Thanks so much, Monty and Robin, for all you do with Wise Women Weekly and bringing all this content to your communities as a collaborative, and I really, really appreciate this opportunity to be with you. And certainly after our 15 or 20, 25 minutes of technical difficulties, I was telling Robin, I need to space clear my bad attitude right now. You know, there is a lot more than clutter in the physical world that we need to clear. So anyway, here we are. And so the question, how did I get hooked on Clutternomics? You know, I was living in Los Gatos, California, And I was sent there to open up Nordstrom's Valley Fair, and I was the manager of Personal Touch at the time, and I got to live in Los Gatos, which is the most pristine, phenomenal little town that you could ever choose to be in if you're lucky enough to be single, 28 years old, and doing your thing, and that was my blessing. And I lived in a tree house, and it was a one-bedroom little tree house. And I had to get really creative with storage. And so, because I travel so much, my luggage was in my shower. Creative storage. And so, basically, as the years kind of progressed, my tree house, as much as I loved it, got smaller and smaller and smaller. And so I ran into a book by Karen Kingston, and I have it right here. It's called Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. Free yourself from physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual clutter forever. Karen Kingston, and that's a Karen with a K, Kingston with a K. And I read this little book, and it literally, 25 plus years ago, changed my life.
Wow.
So that's how I got hooked on it. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I look around me and I'm going, I function so much better when I don't have it, but I think a lot of people would like to know, what is it? You know, how do you define clutter? And then we'll move forward from here. So let's kind of have a baseline of everyone understanding, what does it mean, clutter?
Well, let me ask both of you, Monty and Robin. When you think of clutter, what do you think of, Robin?
I think of things that are visual in front of me that distract me from staying focused, or I think of things in my head that do the same, or I think of clutter on my body. I think of it, you know, a lot of things. Monty, what do you think about clutter?
I think of clutter as mess, as anything that kind of drives me bonkers. I think of it as being disheveled. I think of it as being disorganized, and you know, I think of it as being a time waster. You know, that's what I think of it, because you can't find anything, you don't know where anything is, and so I think of it as a hindrance and just too much stuff and mess.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. You know, it's interesting, as I travel the country and I ask that question, I would say probably 90% of all people think of clutter in terms of physical clutter.
Yep.
And, you know, Robin was a little bit expansive in her awareness, and she mentioned that there's mental clutter. You know, all the limiting beliefs in our mind is clutter. Then we have emotional clutter, which is a huge cost, whether it be anger or bitterness or unforgiveness or any of those negative emotions that get trapped and stuck in our body, emotional clutter. And then body clutter, that's if you're dealing with high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, weight issues, toxic issues, drug issues. Whatever you're choosing to put in your body then creates body clutter. There's two-legged clutter. If you think about people in your life that, you know, drive you bonkers, as Monty would say. You know, so we have this thing called two-legged clutter. And, you know, there's people in that, and there's many dimensions to clutter, but certainly in my practice where I start, the first place we start is with physical clutter. That's the first place. So physical clutter, let me read the definition. This is out of Karen Kingston's book, The Definition of Clutter. The word clutter derives from the Middle English word cloyter, which means to coagulate, and that's about as stuck as you can get. Clutter accumulates when energy stagnates, and likewise energy stagnates when clutter accumulates. So the clutter begins as a symptom of what is happening with you in your life, and then becomes part of the problem itself, because the more you have of it, the more stagnant energy it attracts to itself. And it's really people can feel it if you walk into a room, Monty or Robin. Now, certainly I'm looking at both of your views, and they look fabulous, and there's no clutter, and Robin's office is pristine and organized, and there isn't a thing out of place. But when you walk into a room that doesn't look like what it looks like on the screen here, can you feel it in your bodies?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
And Robin, where do you feel it? Where does it hit your body when you feel it?
I feel it in my gut, and I feel it in my head.
Your gut and head. And Monty, what about you?
In my chest, heart area, and in my head.
Yes. And
oh,
then
my breathing gets cut off too.
Yes, yes. And so there's so many side effects of the clutter. So that's the definition, and that's what clutter is. But let's just focus on physical and not get people overwhelmed. You know?
Well, I tell you what, I have to say this. This was the first time I have ever heard about mental clutter and physical clutter versus I just always thought that clutter was just, you know, things that are disorganized or out of place, but had never thought about it in this way. So my view has just expanded tremendously. I mean, when you're talking about body clutter and physical ailments, and oh my God, I mean, that was huge. I mean, it was just, you know, even in that short period, that's just a huge revelation, because we don't think about all of the things that we need to declutterize in our life, and so then it becomes an entire process, and it makes me understand better. You know, when you were saying, or I forget where I saw it, but it was basically you don't have an abundance issue, you have a clutter issue. I just had never ever heard it in this way before, and I like the two-legged clutter. You know, there's some of those that can keep walking.
You want to, I always say, you want to bless them, release them, and let them prosper elsewhere.
It's powerful to really look at that.
Oh my
Seriously. Where's the two-legged clutter, and how do I make a change around that? Because, man, when that changes, there's all this new freedom and space that I know you're going to talk about.
Yes, yeah. It truly is. I mean, you know, certainly, I don't know about you guys, but we're of the age where we can remember a time, you know, when we grew up, when there was no computers or cell phones, and there wasn't all this technology. If you wrote a letter, you might get a couple letters a year, you know, and then at Christmas.
Uh-oh. Where'd you go?
But now we are, with our computers, we are writing anywhere from 10 to 200 to 300 letters a day. And it really, what I find with people is that it challenges me, because the simplicity of our lives, you know, I look at my parents, they had 6 kids, they worked, my mother worked, my father ran a business, and we always had family day on Sunday, we always had dinner at the table, my parents were in the theater, we connected with community all the time, you know, through the church and our friends, and it seems like now people have less and less time to really connect, because their lives are so cluttered with so much stuff. Their calendars are packed. Their houses are packed. They spend this time in their life, you know, I call it the spin dial, when you're getting out of college and you're building, and it's based on ego and pride and status and all these reasons to accumulate. And then you have all this stuff, and then it owns you. It owns you. And you have made a decision to be owned by stuff. And then there's financial clutter because of all the stuff. And so truly, by looking at what's around you and deciding what's important, you can begin to clear those things and make different choices to begin to get your life back.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know, when you were talking, Kathleen, it just made me think yesterday, 2 days ago, I cleared my desktop clutter from my computer.
Yes.
And what a difference it made. But now I got to take the next level and do the email clutter, which is a whole nother massive.
You know, certainly, Robin, let me ask you, when you did that clearing of your desktop, how did it make you feel?
Oh, I like I said before, when I have clutter, it's constricting in my breathing, and then when I look at my desktop now and it's all this space, I
Yeah.
can actually relax and
Yeah.
and breathe deeper and go, wow. And I have a new set of files. I learned how to do some new file things on my computer, so it created space and freedom.
Yes, yes, and certainly the reason why Clutternomics works and when you get hooked on it, and you can do it 15 minutes a day or an hour a week. That's it. But it's so, of all the topics I teach, from networking to follow-up to self-esteem to stress management, anything to help business professionals and owners, grow their businesses, this one is my top topic. Why? Because it's so easy to get hooked on the feelings that spending a little bit of time clearing gives you. So the way to stay motivated is just really take very small chunks. Start with a drawer. As Robin did, she started with her desktop. Monty, what do you want to start with? What's one small sub-zone that you could start with?
Wow. The subzone that I could start with would probably be the drawer that's in my kitchen that has the little miscellaneous things in it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. And do you refer that as to your junk drawer, possibly, Monty?
Yep, totally.
This is my big question. We're queens. Why do we have any junk?
That is such a good question. I think that because, when we don't view it that way, I think with the hustle and bustle of life and all that, we don't view it that way, because you're right, a queen would never, ever have a junk drawer. I'm like, oh, this is for my miscellaneous items that I'll go figure out, and I'll get to it. I'll get to it eventually. That's my not right now space, because I have more important things to do. So yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, so we'll talk about how to do that towards the end of the call, but certainly what I want you to do is block your calendar and have a date with yourself and make it a joyous experience to go after that drawer as a start. And Robin, where are you going to start?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because the other day Gregory noticed, something dirty under the refrigerator, so he looked under there and he went, OMG, and realized that underneath the refrigerator it was really bad. And I don't know how many people know you do need to clean under there, and
Yes.
It gets in the way of the refrigerator working, and then it got us on a roll. And then we cleaned the fixture and cleaned the bugs out of the fixture and then cleaned the glass of the fixture, and then we went into the laundry room, and it was just, and then at the end of the day it just felt so good. So now I'm working on my drawers, and and I have like jewelry in about 4 different places, and realized that, oh, there's the missing earring, that I haven't been able to wear, because it's in so many different places. And my friend says everything has a home, and it lives with its friends, and it lives with its family. And so because I was looking for something today and I finally found it, but it's something really precious to me, and now it's going to have a new home. So I'm working on my drawers.
Yeah, and certainly, since we're on this topic, I'll jump in. And basically, my advice is you empty whatever drawer, closet, bin, file, whatever that is. It comes out of, Monty, for you, that whole drawer gets dumped. Take a big table out, put a sheet on it, you dump it out. Robin, you're going to go collect all of your jewelry, get it all out where you can see it. And Monty, particularly in your drawer, what are you covering your hands for?
I don't want to see it.
Oh, you don't want to see it.
I'm just joking.
So basically, when everything is out, you're going to ask 2 questions to get started. Now, certainly, I'm a mind chiropractor. I got to study with Tony Robbins for 5 years, and clutter is a dis-ease.
Wow.
Clutter is an outpicturing of something that is going on at a different level. Clutter must become your best friend. many people, and it could be true for both of you, yes or no, did you find a resistance to your clutter, that you shamed it, you blamed it, you criticized it, you hate it? A lot of people hate their clutter, and they don't realize that this beautiful thing in front of them that can cause them frustration and stress and lack of sleep and anxiety and fear, and there is so many myriad of emotions that go beyond people's clutter, is really a teacher for them. Wow. So first and foremost, you want to fall in love with your clutter. It is your best friend. Whatever you resist, persist. And so if you push against it, it will never go away. You must embrace it, first step. So now you're looking at all your teachers, you know, in this pile. And I start with 2 questions. Now, certainly, if you have a lot of issues around clutter and you feel that you're a hoarder, that I really recommend that you get professional help, because there's different layers and different stages. There's different brain types. You know, some of us are organizationally challenged. That was me. I have ADD. That was me. It took me 8 years to get to maintenance. 8 years.
Wow.
Meaning you have to have a lot of patience with yourself, a lot of, you know, compassion, a lot of love. And so certainly you go to that pile and you ask 2 questions. Do I love it? And am I using it? And using it in terms of, have you used it in the last year? Now, I have this little gummy remover and I use it a lot, but some things I use once a year. But if I'm not using it on a regular basis, then it becomes possibly a just in case, and I don't want any just in case, because that's another healing opportunity. A lot of people have the just in case itis, and they have all this scarcity and lack and fear around it. Yeah. So you ask these questions, yeah.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, and so you ask, do I love it, and am I using it? If it gets a yes, yes, you get to keep it. If it gets a yes, no, you get to keep it until you're emotionally ready to release it. This is an emotional healing process.
Wow.
Now, if you are the person that says yes, yes to everything in the entire house, you absolutely need to call someone who is certified. And I don't mean that jokingly, but there's a deeper issue going on that you need to look at. And then once you've gone through everything and you have your yes, yes pile to the right and you have your no, no pile, I gift, you know, I really take everything to the thrift store that, you know, builds our community, and then I get a list, and then it's a tax write-off. You know, you could do, certainly you could do a garage sale if you want to. I'm not a garage sale girl. No, I just want to remove the items and get them out of my space, because the universe abhors a vacuum. What does that mean? That means if you create space, you have just sent up a huge signal. It's like the biggest, brightest signal in the planet. You just said, I'm ready for something new. It's a law, like a law of gravity, a law of all the different laws that we have in our universe that we do not understand. If you open up a space, you will get something new. Period. End of statement. Happens every single time. So that's why I'm constantly clearing. It's a part of my business strategy, so I can keep things flowing in easily and effortlessly. It's like having a birthday every day, because it's so exciting about what you're going to get.
Wow. 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 Well, Monty, do you want to ask something? I've got all these things I can share.
Right. Take notes. That's what I really want to do. That was huge. That was so huge, Kathleen. If you create space, you send a huge signal to the universe that says you're ready for something new. I hope everybody heard that. That is so huge. That's a revelation that's really, really deep, because when you think about it, You know, that's so true. But you know, it always takes someone to bring that revelation to you. And so I'm really grateful for all the revelation that you're pouring into us right now, because that's such a huge thing. Who knew that declutterizing your life was really one of the huge keys to attracting the abundance that we're all seeking?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And just think of it like, you know, one of my friends, Deb Lindergan, said, you know, when we were talking about analogies for a program I was doing, she said, you know, liken it to having a cell phone. If your cell phone messages are full, you get a message. You can no longer receive any new messages. Think of that about your home. If every single place or many places, several places, whatever the situation is for you, are packed, and you can barely open a drawer, you are afraid to open up a closet, you don't even want to go into a file. Do you know that things in piles and files, like 85 to 90% will never be looked at again, ever? But it's the trickery of the mind. You think you're going to get back to it. It's like that stack of magazines that keeps reminding you that you have no time in your life, you don't have a life, and you never have time to read. That's the unconscious thing that's really happening, because you always think that when I have time, I'm going to look at the magazines. And then you're reminded about how much time you don't have.
You just hit a chord with me on that one. Of, you know, the other day when we got into this cleaning thing, we created space in the cupboard and space in the cabinets and space in the file drawers, and because you don't want to go into them when it's a struggle and it's bad feng shui, you know, when there isn't space. And I know that every time I clean my desk, money comes in. I think that's a law of the universe.
Yes.
And it always happens that way. So it's like, I realize it, but I do know that for me, it feels like clutter has been a way to hide my power.
Wow.
Wow. And so when I'm willing to let go, I know it's big stuff for me. So I would just, because I think that kind of moves into, like, what does it cost us, really, when we have clutter on all these levels?
That's a big question. That's a big question. You know, and it's interesting because, again, as I travel and ask that question, I say, you know, I'm curious, everyone, has anyone ever in this entire audience ever thought about what specifically your clutter is costing you? And I would say I get maybe one hand. I could have 1,000 people in the room and maybe get 2 hands, because people don't really sync it up, like, what is my clutter costing me? Now, think about if you are trying to keep up with the Joneses. Whoever the Joneses are. I know they exist because they're in the yellow pages. That's all, or on Google or wherever they are now, you know, certainly not the yellow pages. But if you have bought bigger, you know, Karen Kingston speaks to the different levels of healing, and it's called status. So if you are spending money on designer labels, or having the best of this, or having the bigger house, or driving a Mercedes when you should be in a, you know, a different car price zone, whatever that is, you know what that is for yourself. And so there's the cost of keeping up with the Joneses, just in appearances of all this stuff. And then you're looking at the financial clutter. If you're living on credit cards, then the interest charges alone is a, you know, very big cost. And then the clutter, think about the emotional cost of your clutter. Think about what the stress of it, the frustration of it, the angst of it, all the different emotions, yes. And there's a price on that that people do not consider. And then let's say you go out and you have 2 refrigerators, and you're that person who's gone out to buy bulk meat on sale. And then you're putting it in your additional freezer that's costing you $40 a month to run, to provide the money to get the discounted meat. What the hell? And then for all those people, you know, when we're in business and if we're working as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, you know, in MLM, direct sales, and that kind of thing, a lot of us work in it full time. If you're working in it full time, you're working from home. And then it's just that clutter will cost you clients. If you don't have follow-up systems, if your business cards are all over the place, you can't place anything, then there's the cost. You know, so that's costing you tens of thousands of dollars by not having a follow-up system in place and everything's cluttered. Then most people, on average, spend 55 minutes a day looking for something.
Wow.
Whoa.
Now,
wow.
For us, if you have a salary of, let's say, $15 an hour, $25 an hour, mine's $400 an hour for my coaching, you know, certainly if they want to get a package, it's less. But if you look at what your hourly is, so let's take $40 an hour times 5 times 7 times 4. That's $320, right, a week of unproductive time.
Wow.
Now you times that by 4. So you've just lost, and that's only an hour a day. Some people are into it far bigger than that. You know, for me, I can't afford for things not to have an address. I have menopause. I'm dealing with short-term memory. I'm working on fixing that with Dr. Amen. But if things don't have an address and I have to look for something, I can't imagine living in that zone anymore. I lived in it long enough. The frustration and stress alone will take 10 years off your life. What does that cost?
Whoa.
So the costs are deep and many and varied. And I hope that I've highlighted a few to get people thinking about, wow. And then there's embarrassment and shame. You can't have people over to your house because you have to do the ditch and run, you know, when somebody comes over unexpectedly and you're embarrassed, and then there's shame and there's guilt, and it's just a myriad of things, and it just is very costly.
Wow.
That was huge. That was huge. And I know that people got something out of that, you know, and everybody has either maybe been there or they know someone who has been there. So on the counterpart of that, Kathleen, what are the benefits that someone may expect to receive as a result of getting hooked on Clutternomics?
Well, certainly it's all the opposites of everything that's driving them crazy. So, for instance, can you imagine having your life back? Can you imagine having 7 additional hours a week? What would you do with 7 additional glorious hours a week? Because everything has a home, everything has an address, everything has a place. OMG, come on. Can you imagine a life with so much less stress?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine extending your life because you have looked at your physical clutter, now you're addressing your body clutter, you've gotten rid of the diabetes, you've mitigated the high cholesterol, you're not taking any medications. That's so much fun. There's so much joy, there's so much peace, there is so much abundance. Not only in the terms of money, because most people lock into the money, but it was interesting. In one of my boot camps, I had people start looking at abundance beyond money. What does that mean? Were you getting compliments? Were people opening a door? Were people letting you in on the freeway? Were people noticing your light? Were people generously coming over with a gift or sending a card in the mail? Whatever that was, that's abundance.
Wow.
And at the end of it, the biggest word that I think is the umbrella for the benefit of getting hooked on Clutternomics is freedom. Freedom. It is freedom of every single layer, perspective, whatever you can envision that freedom can touch. Clutternomics, getting hooked on it, whether it be 15 minutes a day or an hour a week, you get to have freedom in all your areas of your life. And just think of living in zero debt. That is freedom. I lived 13 years in zero debt. And you talk about freedom, there is nothing like it. Freedom.
Whoa.
So those are some of the benefits.
You know, it's interesting. While you were talking, I was thinking of our profession. We have an audience of professional networkers, people in network marketing, people in direct sales, people the entrepreneurs. And I was thinking about when you were saying that about freedom and space and how we've gotten caught in busyness. And in our business, many times people take up a lot of space.
Yes.
That maybe those two-leggeds, and I remember Gregory saying to me, you know, look at how much time you spend with some of those people that don't do anything.
Yes, yes.
And they take up your time. And so that is a powerful, different way for me to look. And I don't like to call people clutter, but I guess they really kind of are, aren't they?
Yes, and if you look at it, you know, I coach people in the industry with MLM direct sales. I was in it myself for many, many years, and you know, we were talking last night, and I said, look at if you're, you know, from a business perspective, because when I go in to clear business clutter, I'm looking at your issues or challenges. And then I said, okay, look at everybody in your downline, or whatever word you want to call it, your community, your team, and look at the 80-20 rule, because if you apply 80-20, 20% of your group is doing 80% of your volume. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And so then you've got this 80% that are just dragging you down, sucking your energy, taking your life, taking your energy. And it was interesting, when I was working with a national, I would watch her, and she only worked with the top 20%. She was so smart. You know, she wasn't the mother, you know, I'm the Mother Teresa that wants to save the world, to bring everybody in, to help everybody get their business. And then I look at, who are your perfect right clients? You must understand who your top 20% is. Who are they? What are their qualities? What are their characteristics? What is their blueprint? And then once you have that, where do they hang out? Because I have a different belief. I was telling my team last night, I said, look, I said, all you need is one high achiever a year. You know, that top performer that is all those characteristics and qualities that makes it easy and effortless to have fun in your business. You see? And so you look at your business at everything. It's kind of like this gal presented all these different things that she was going to do to grow her business. And I go, pick a lane. You're running 3 companies. Pick one thing within your company that you can bring people in that channel and then expand them into the other products. But pick the one that's easy and effortless and fun, and focus on that. Make that your 20%. Because right now you're trying to run 7 different companies within your one company, doing this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. Ay, 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 ay. Clear it. Clear those things. Look at those strategies, your 20%ers. You duplicate your 20%ers and you're golden. You
Wow.
are golden. And it's, you know, you look at your 80-20 applies to your wardrobe, ladies. And gentlemen, we wear only 20% of our wardrobe. Then we have 80% taking up all the room in our abundance and our future good, because we're stuck on it. Some of you have size 9 and you've been a 14 for 10 years. So every time you go in your closet, you get to feel like crap on some level, and your self-esteem goes to the toilet because you think about the clothes that you can't get in and what you used to be. So you're not present. So the 80-20 applies certainly to your point, Robin.
Thank you. Just hang in
the 20% and you'll go really, really far. And the others will get the time and attention that they give. You know, I learned that rule a long time ago. I just match their energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Wow. Wow.
Got a little excited. I'm coughing.
Oh, that was really, really, really great. So, you know, Kathleen, obviously you're very successful. I mean, you know, we are so honored to have you here. And, you know, I want you to just briefly tell everyone why this right here, Clutternomics, is one of your very top business and life strategies.
Well, as I, kind of alluded to earlier, I've been in this business for 30 years, and I'm a strategist at heart. I'm always looking how to make things easy and effortless with people, whether it be what is a strategy for networking or follow-up or managing stress. And I've studied human behavior for 40 years. And humans fascinate me, and myself included. And truly, the reason I love this is because I find that people are not going to spend a year or two mastering the art of networking. They're not going to spend a year or two really mastering the art of follow-up. The only reason I did is because I was teaching it, so it became my greatest teacher, right? What I love about this is because whether you're in between successes or whatever the thing is, everyone's got 15 minutes a day to chunk it down. Everyone's got an hour a week if they want to focus. And the results are so immediate. People love immediacy. And the feelings you get hooked on the feelings. You're so high on the feelings. Sometimes I work with clients to talk them off the tree because they'd rather clear than do anything else. You see what I mean? Because then it kind of works. It backfires. So you always want to clear after hours and on the weekends. You don't want to clear during your business hours, certainly. But it's the feelings, it's all of the benefits, and it's the immediacy of abundance. It's like Christmas every day. It's so much fun. It's like, whoa. My first clearing netted me $6,000. I went to quit a job. I cleared out, my thing was just in case. I went to a spare change can in my kitchen. I had this from my youth. I was in a car accident. I didn't tell my parents. I lived on the system. I lived on spare change. You fast forward, it comes with me, and I have a subconscious belief about this spare change. And I've got this whole projection into it, like, what if that happens again? What if I'm in a situation where I have to live on spare change? I didn't realize the root healing of this was, for me, I was living in scarcity, lack, and fear. And I was really looking at my faith levels. I was not living in faith and knowing that, whatever your faith is, for me, God will provide everything as it's needed. Why do I have all this just in case? That's not living in faith. That's scarcity, lack, fear. For me, each one of you will find your own healing from that. But I removed that spare change can. I went to quit my job that day. And I'll be a son of a gun if my boss, John, at the last 5 minutes of a 3-hour conversation says, Kathleen, and I gave a 6 months notice, he said, I want to give you a $6,000 raise for the balance of your 6 months. You can bet your sweet assets that I was in the car, in the commuter lane, breaking a law to go an hour home, to get home, to say, what else can I get rid of? I mean, I had 5 people in my boot camp over 5 years get $100,000 of unexpected income. I've had people find checks for $400, $500, $1,000, $3,500 that were misfiled. Whoa. That's why it's so exciting, and it's so much fun, and it's so easy to get hooked, and the results are immediate.
Whew. Wow. Whew. Can we end the hangout now so I can go find something to clear?
You have something. You're going after that drawer in your kitchen.
Oh, I am.
I know. I want to start right now.
What else?
Well, you know what? That's my passion, and that's my ministry in this world is to really bring this to light in a new and different way where people have never thought about it before, and they didn't realize that just a simple action of clearing and going through the emotional lessons and the emotional healing is the key. And it's through just looking and getting rid of stuff that no longer serves you, and really getting your life back and what really matters. And so we don't have to live in this frenetic 24/7, 12, 14-hour days. There's a different way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Well, I'm just thinking about all the different things that, what no longer serves me, and then thinking about how packed my bookshelves are.
Yes.
With books I don't touch anymore.
Yeah.
And thinking about all the different things, and I like how overfull my sock drawer is, and I
Yes.
don't even want to open it. And I'm going, and just to play a game, like you talk about, pick one thing and work on it, and then just
Yes.
feel, and make an intention that I'm going to have space in every
Yes.
drawer, every cabinet, every closet, that it's easy to find my clothes, and all those clothes, oh my goodness, how many of us have how many different sizes,
Yes.
and to say, I don't ever want to be that size again, so I'm going to get rid of those clothes.
Yes.
Yeah,
and a lot of people are challenged with their books, Robin, and I say to them, I've gotten rid of all my books. I have, let's see, I'm looking here in the living room, very small, 3-4 shelves of books. They're all by my friends. They're all autographed to me. Everything else went. And really with the books, you have to decide, okay, if it's here, it's taking up new. It's taking up something new coming in. Now, if you love, love, love them, and you have a house big enough to store them, and you love them all, and they bring you great joy, then keep them. Otherwise, open up that space. Just take them to the library. You can go visit the books. Let them clutter up the library. You can go check out that book anytime you want. What a great thing. Right?
Yeah, I think that's true. And it's going to be on my list, and yeah. So books. I know there's some books that can help us.
Yes.
You mentioned one, and you probably have other ones.
Yes, the Karen Kingston book. I love her. Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. Absolutely. Look her up. Get her easing. Go online. The other one that I think everyone, some of you might not have a challenge reading it. I did, because it's a heady book, if you will. It's called the 80-20 Principle. The Secret to Achieving More with Less. The 80-20 Principle. The Secret of Achieving More with Less. It's by Richard Koch. K-O-C-H. Richard. Love him. I mean, even to the point where I manage my investments, my 401k, much differently. I don't, he talks about everybody has a diverse thing. His thing is hell to the no. Get the top 20% stock and watch it like a hawk. And, that has served me very well in the last few years. Yay, Apple stock. And then another great book is by Dr. Myron Wentz, W-E-N-T-Z. Dr. Myron Wentz and Dave Wentz, D-A-V-E-W-E-N-T-Z. And they wrote a book called The Healthy Home. Simple Truths to Protect Your Family from Hidden Household Dangers. During my boot camp, I had 9 guest experts, and one of them was Victoria Charles, who is a sustainability professor at the college here in Santa Monica, and she's a consultant, and she came on to tell us about all the toxins in our home that were so toxic to us. Literally, the makeup women are using has 70 to 120 toxins that you're putting on your body, your vessel. And so there's things in your home that are literally need to go to a chemical dump. They need to be managed. I had a couple of those, didn't even know it. She came over and did a consult. Then there's products in my home that I was to use and never buy again. And then there's products that I only, because I have been gifted with cancer several times, and certainly I want to do everything I can to do, what I can to clear, declutter anything in my house that is preventing me from living an extraordinarily healthy, long life. And so there is a lot of toxic clutter, and this is one of the best books I've ever found in this space, The Healthy Home, Simple Truths to Protect Your Family from Hidden Household Dangers. So those would be where I would start. I would start with Karen Kingston's book, move to 80-20, and then The Healthy Home. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Monty.
Love it, love it. So, what are some simple things that people can do to get started? Give us some tips.
Okay, well, simple things, just like we talked about. You're going to, well, first, you want to make a list of all of your zones. So you want to go through and make one list, and you put all of the places that drive you crazy. Could be your living room, your dining room, your bedroom, your basement, garage. I think it's 85% of all people can't even get their car in their garage. So those are your zones. So you get a list of all the zones, and then you take the zone, like let's say office. Then what you do is you break it down to subzones: desktop, computer, file cabinet. This file cabinet, I have boxes of cards here. I have pending files, other files, you know, so you kind of look around and you just break it down to subzones, drawers, and then you pick one subzone. For you, Monty, you picked your junk drawer.
Yes.
So where is the junk drawer? In the kitchen?
Yes.
So then when you're in the kitchen, then you say, okay, what other zones do I have? I have cupboards. I have the stove, I have the refrigerator, I have under the sink, I have drawers, I have a pantry, possibly. So one by one, you open it up, you take everything out, and ask the question, do I love it and do I use it? And make the container store your best friend. You can also think if everything has an address, then it needs a little cubby. Like in my sock drawer, my personal drawer, I have little plastic holders at the dollar store, for goodness sakes. So my running socks have a container, my nylons have a container, right? So so they're no longer fighting with each other. They no longer, you know, are screaming for their own space or feeling neglected. They have a little container. So if you put all your stuff back into your junk drawer, you have to find a container. So the pins have an address, your staples have an address, your rubber bands have an address, you see? So just think container. The container store is phenomenal. The dollar store is really great too. You can use shoe boxes. You can use old check boxes. You can get creative. But all you do then is you pick the area, you start with a subzone, and you're consistent. You must be consistent. So whether you do it 15 minutes a day, or you do it an hour a week. Now, I will tell you this. You might start with an hour and you go 2, 3, 4, 5, like Robin and her husband did. They just kept going. Now, some of you are going to get so emotional that you'll have to stop. You really have to, because it can bring up a lot of stuff depending on what you're clearing. You know, if you have things from your family and your parent just died, you know, I couldn't touch my mother's stuff for years because emotionally I was not ready to clear her things. And so I had to get emotionally ready before I could even address that. You know, I sat at one of my homes in the basement for 2 weeks before I moved because I was tired of just moving stuff from 8th grade and high school and the dance company and, you know, what have you. And I went through it all, and I just cried every single day, you know, and rejoiced and remembered, and I was able to literally release all of it, you know, most of it, and I only kept what I really needed.
Wow.
So the high school yearbook could go?
Well, no. Now, I did keep my 3 high school, but I gave away my cheerleading costumes, all of my different costumes. I had a dance company when I was 21, and oh my God, I ran for Miss Washington. I had every gown on the planet, and, you know, so I only kept a few items, you know, just a few. It's like when my father died, you know, what do I need? You know, I got some of his jewelry. I took one tie. I gave his cheerleading sweater to my brother. It's kind of like, how much stuff do I need of my father's? He gave me a toolkit, you know, that he put together rather than taking all the tools in the entire garage because all the other kids had tools and I had nothing. I had a hammer, I think. So now I'm grown up. I got my big girl panties on and I have a toolkit. And he said, Kath, you need 1 screw with 8 different, you know, parts that you can just screw. I'm like, cool. So he was right. I didn't need all those tools, and this little box has everything that I've ever needed for the last 9 years since he gave it to me. So it's be consistent, pick a subzone, and do what you can emotionally. And the other thing it is, you cannot touch anyone else's clutter in the house. You cannot be passive aggressive. You cannot buy them the clearing book for their birthday or Christmas. You cannot encourage them. They must come to you and observe you, because everyone's clutter is theirs. If they are not ready to clear it, you cannot force them. That is their healing opportunity.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. Did you want to say something
Well,
else?
I was just going to say, if you have children, one of my moms, what she did, and you have to wait till they're about 7 or 8, because up until then they're not developed enough, and it's me, mine. And so if you have OCD and you're forcing your child to be organized and get rid of stuff, this poor little kid could have ADD, be organizationally challenged, have hoarder, tendencies, and now he or she's going to hate you for their entire life. So what you do with children about 7 or 8 years old, you can send them in their bedrooms quarterly, twice yearly, whatever works for you. This is just one tip. And the mom would send the kids in for anything broken, doesn't work, toys, doesn't fit, what have you. They fill the bag, they come out, they get $1 a pound. Those kids rock that bag. But then you have to check the bag, because sometimes they want the money and they're throwing away stuff that still works. So anyway, that's just a tip for the kids.
Oh boy. Well, you have given us a wealth of resources, information, I would say inspiration, and I am excited to jump in and go the next level, because once we got it going, it just fed us, and we wanted to keep going, and it started with cleaning out under the refrigerator, and then the cabinets, and then the cupboards, and then the laundry, blah, 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 blah. So I want to thank you, Kathleen, because this is like huge and life-changing for people, and you've come to it with such a levity. It's so beautiful. And if people want to reach you, Kathleen, and they might want to work with you, what would they do?
Well, certainly, I have a show special for them. Should I share that? I
think that would be great.
Okay. Well, I'm Kathleen Ronald, Ronald. My website is Speaktacular. That's Speaktacular, Speaktacular.com. My email is Kathleen with a K at Speaktacular.com. And if you go to my website and click on programs, you'll see Clutternomics for business, and then there's Clutternomics for personal. And then there's also, I do those as keynotes, as workshops, as trainings, certainly. And then I do have a teleclass coming up. And what I did for my coaching clients is I put my top strategies together in a 3-week course. And so I have a Clutternomics Quick Start program. It's 3 weeks. It runs on Saturdays from 8:30 to 9:45 Pacific Daylight Time. It starts on October 25th, and then November 1st and November 8th. I have a guest speaker on the 3rd week. You get the MP3s in case you can't make it, and those are valued at $45 a piece, and you get them as my gift. Once you pay for my course, you never pay again. I have a gal coming back for the 3rd time for motivation, for accountability, to stay in it. And so anyway, Clutternomics, the first week, we create a clutter clearing plan. We implement things so you can get 5 hours a week back. We explore tips and tricks of doing that. And then week 2, we build on that. And each week you get a little bit of homework, and it's a big share, and it's a lot of fun. So that typically runs at $277. But for this particular group and your callers, if they want to jump in, they can just email me at Kathleen@Speaktacular.com and put show special Clutternomics at $150.
Wow.
Nice. So I usually showcase it at $197, but just $150. And so you have 3 weeks, you have 4.5 hours of training, you get an MP3, and you never pay again. So if this is something that would serve you, it would be an honor and a blessing to have you along for that 3-week ride, because it's pretty exciting.
Wow, that is fabulous. Moni, any final comments from you before I close it out?
Absolutely. First of all, Kathleen, it was so awesome. I'm telling you, I was really, really, really looking forward to you. I'm not kidding. I told Robin, yeah, I cannot wait for this one, because this was one that I really knew that I would be drawn to, but I knew that so many other people would be drawn to.
Yeah.
Because when we get to learn about clutter and learn about, you know, just getting the mess out of our lives. I mean, one of the things that I'll say as I end this is, I just looked at, when you talked about body clutter, about maybe being overweight or being unhealthy and all those things. And so it's the willingness to release those things that
Yeah.
is allowing us to be able to bring in the new. And I love that. So for me personally, I was very, very highly impacted. So I want to just say thank you for that. And
Thank
I
you.
want to say
Thank you.
you're very welcome. I want to
Thank
say
you.
everyone who has been listening today. I hope and I pray that you really, really took to heart what she said today. There was a lot of humor and a lot of fun in this, but it was a very, very serious topic that can really transform your life. And that's really what we endeavor to do here at Wise Women Weekly, to really continue to serve you, to serve the profession, and to continue to bring you value, because I know that you all heard something here that's impactful. So my advice, I know Robin would concur with this, is to definitely get with Kathleen. Take advantage of that special, because it will impact your life and it will impact your business. And so I think of it more as a quality of life makeover, which I cannot wait to get started, beginning with my junk drawer. Yeah, I love the I love the exhale, Robin. So we will see each and every one of you next Thursday. Be sure to share this playback. And if you're not a member yet of Wise Women Weekly, presented by Enlightened Networking, make sure you find us on Facebook and join the group. There'll be lots of things that you can stay plugged into, and tips and things that we're going to be continuing to share as this continues to evolve. But we had a really, really beautiful time today, and we invite you to just share it with everybody that you know and love, and get them over to wisewomenweekly.com. We'll see you guys next Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks,
Thank
Robin.
you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Mwah.
Rock and roll. Thank you.